You feeling vulnerable?
Do. I'm
We
always
are live.
vulnerable.
Cowboys
Right.
feeling
Excellent.
vulnerable because there's peeping
I'm
toms around.
I had to close the curtains there because just
You
in
feeling
case.
vulnerable? How are you getting on, mate?
Good, Chris. Did we go live at all the weekend?
We didn't get a chance because by the time that you got finished up work, I was already back in Dublin. And the night
I had two massive hectic days at work.
And the day before was the Grand National. We hung out and watched that for a little bit.
That's right. We were meant to go live for the Grand National. I wanted to go live for the Grand National, but by the time I got back from Castle,
I would have been too rushed.
It would have been too rushed. We would have the race would have been just off, and the idea of the live would have been to build up the excitement and pick a few horses and see how we got on. And maybe if we spent a few minutes looking at the names, we would have picked Noble Yates.
Yeah, in fairness, it screams something that we'd back, being from the West ourselves.
Yeah.
And now it would be worth a couple of quid. What, 40 to 1 that morning? Not bad.
41. It went down to 66 to 1, didn't it?
Went off at 66, yeah.
It said on the television that it was a 66 to 1 winner, but then later on, when I read in the paper, it said it was a 50 to 1 winner. So it might have been 66 to 1 on something.
I thought I saw a 40 to 1 earlier on that day. Chris Perez is in the chats. He goes, "Hello guys, is it Christmas in Ireland?" Excellent. It's always Christmas in Ireland. Perez, the Oshkin.
Hold on now. Live chat. Can I get? Yes, I can. Tonight I can get it. I know how I was able to get it. Not last night. How things, Chris? What is the crack, Chief?
He's been busy editing as young Christine Perez.
Fair play.
I'm buying a new camera tomorrow.
Excellent. What are you going buying?
I'm buying a Black Magic.
Okay, I'll pretend to know exactly what that is, but it's
big camera.
Black Magic to me is a box of sweets.
Well, this is going to be better than a box of sweets. So
excellent.
We're gonna be leveling up with our camera work now.
Yeah, well, I have a new phone, and I'm hoping that the sound is a bit better than the last one.
Yeah, the phone's good, man.
Right, I said I'm going to start off all the lives with one dream from my book of dreams.
Okay.
And I want someone to pick a dream, anything. Chris, help us out here. Tell us what you want to know about a dream. Anything. Last time it was about drowning.
That's right. The last time I picked drowning, and I put no thought into it because I don't think I've ever had a drowning dream myself. I don't really wake up remembering my dreams. I'm not like you, you know.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'll tell you a lovely dream I had. Did I say look at Toblerone job?
Grace, you're stealing Grace's Toblerone.
I'm stealing my daughter's Toblerone, yeah.
Shane in the chat. How you doing, Shane? Are you well, mate? Anyone in the chat had any fucking weird dreams? You know, that you want sorted out by Uncle Cowboy here?
Yeah. I'll tell you about somebody that's listening, type in any word and I'll check out about dreaming about it. Right. Now, I'll tell you about a dream I had last week. I don't think I mentioned it on the last live. It was my grandmother's 90th.
Grace Kelly's in there and goes, yes, the Toblerone.
That's my daughter. You should be in bed, Grace.
In fairness, I'm surprised that Toblerone has lasted this long.
Yeah, well, you know what? She only got it today from Thursday, so.
Grace, I'm surprised your grandfather didn't have it. At this stage. Yeah. Good.
Right, so let me tell you about the dream I had. Like, it was my grandmother's 90th birthday last week, and even Grace came over from Australia.
Yeah.
Tom came home from America. We were all there. But 2 nights before it, I was dreaming that I was drinking with my grandfather. Now my grandfather died in
You did tell this the last life.
Did I?
Yeah, where you went the two you yourself and your grandfather went on the piss to Galway.
Yeah.
That was on the last life.
Ah, well, fuck it. So I'm not going to tell it anymore.
You can't be repeating
You burst my bubble there, Chris.
I know, yeah, but in fairness, we've heard this before. The guys are in the chat; they know the crack.
Someone hasn't.
In fairness, you had a really interesting dream before where you found out who shot Michael Collins.
That is right. And I had that dream when I was in the Richmond unit when I nearly died. Did I mention that in the last podcast?
It's not. Well, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it already in this one.
I haven't mentioned that one now in 2 or 3 podcasts, and it's time now I told the story again about me nearly dying 3 times.
I think we were a whole 5 minutes into the podcast without you mentioning the fact that you almost died.
I did, but that dream, it was 2016, and it was the 100-year commemoration of the Easter Rising. But all through my dreams or my thoughts when I was in ICU or in a coma or whatever, the only thing I kept remembering was someone was trying to tell me who killed Michael Collins. I keep looking to the left here, but the camera's actually here.
In fairness, you're becoming more Fenian in your coma than you were in your whole life.
Than I was. I tell you, I joined the RA.
You did. That was a good one as well. Okay, what you got? Stephen Masterson or Shane Masterson goes, Stephen has Alzheimer's. Well, you're not far wrong because your memory isn't brilliant sometimes.
Recurring dream. Chris is a roller coaster. I do. My memory is shocking sometimes. And sometimes it's brilliant, as sharp as a lance. Weird.
Yeah.
Right, roller coasters for Chris. I'll read it out and I'll give my thoughts on it, and then we'll move on. How's Shane getting on in the trip around with Killian? Shane will know what I'm talking about.
Want to
roller coaster.
The trip around. Are you going to just leave that hanging out there, lads? Or are you going to? Jade Elvis goes, this is a rerun. It is. It pretty much is a rerun. We did this exact podcast last week. Pete will come in now in 10 minutes.
I'm going to start off every podcast now with a dream. I did repeat myself.
Jade, do you have any good dreams for us? Grace should be dreaming at this stage.
I have here. There's nothing on roller coasters, Chris. So fun parks I'm going to do, and if there's nothing there, you're going to have to pick something else, or I'm just going to pick something random.
What about being in space?
Okay. Fuck this. Football fun. A B C D E F G H I J K L R S T U T U R S T. No, nothing on fucking fun parks either.
Anything on space?
Of course, Chris would be the one to pick something that isn't in the book.
Well, in fairness, Chris Perez lives. It's a roller coaster in his head all the time.
Well, it is. Chris, can we tell the story about the filming over in Stockholm?
Oh, definitely tell that.
And about the first couple of nights. Can we tell that story yet? I'll tell it in a really nice way.
What, by leaving half of the stuff out?
No, I won't leave any of it out.
I won't let you leave it out. Go on, tell the story about how Chris Perez went to Sweden and brought you to Sweden after a stopover in Dublin.
Yeah, go for it. Right, Chris give me, he's put in fun, and then I'll tell a very, very good story about Stockholm. Our patrons would have heard this story before, so I've been sitting on that story for months and months and months because I didn't want to tell it. I didn't want to tell it unless I got falling. Okay, here goes, Chris. Falling, and accompanying sense of vertigo is, along with flying, one of the most often reported dream topics. Falling dreams typically occur during the first stage of sleep. Dreams in this stage are often accompanied by muscle spasms of the arms. Hey,
I'd say that was tiredness from all the wanking.
legs and the whole body. Sometimes when we have these falling dreams, we feel our whole body jerk or twitch, which provokes us to awaken. So if anyone ever shouts into the room and say, what's the noise come from there? Just say, you're having a falling dream. Dreams of falling may be prompted by your fear of heights in walking life. If this isn't the case, falling dreams may be your dreaming mind's way of drawing your attention to feelings of frustration and loss of control. In which area of your life do you feel you are falling down, slipping, or losing your place? Are you anxious about schoolwork, your love life, your career, or domestic life? Dreams of falling can be associated with feelings of loss and control, or letting yourself down. Sometimes the sensation is so terrifying that your conscious mind jerks you awake mid-flight. If in your dream you fall and were unharmed, this is a clear sign that your current situation is less uncertain than you think. Whatever the scenario in your dream, if falling is a part of it, your unconscious is urging you to identify the source of the feelings of uncertainty and try to find a solution, even if that means accepting something less than you hoped for, or accepting your limitations. According to Freudian theory, Freudian was an absolute cunt. Dreams of falling indicate, they didn't say that, I said that.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
Dreams of falling indicate that you are contemplating giving into sexual urge or impulse. You should have a wank.
I think that's the cure for a lot of these dreams.
But you see, the thing about all these dreams is nearly every one of them is about insecurity.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's an easy.
That's the same thing about the
you're reading dreams for dummies.
I'm not. It's the dream dictionary from A to Z. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Really?
Yeah, the ultimate A to Z to interpret secrets of your dreams. No, it's written by a so it has to be true.
Is there anything about sleep paralysis? Have you ever been affected by sleep paralysis yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Only when I was drunk.
Really?
No. Well, look, I mean, you were drunk. You're paralyzed when you're drunk anyway. But I think I've had one episode where it was after my second grandfather died. I didn't lose anyone in my life, bar when I was very young. My uncle got killed in London. I was only 6 or 7. So I hadn't really experienced any deaths in my life. Then 1999 came, and my first grandfather died. And then 2 months later, my second grandfather died, who was only, like, literally, I could throw a stone to the house.
Yeah.
And I grew up with him, like, and it was like 2 big losses in one go. And my other grandfather was only 6, 7, 8 kilometers up the road. But anyway, where was I going with
that? We were talking about sleep paralysis.
Oh yeah. So after my second grandfather died, that's when I sort of had the flat. It was like a granny flat built onto my home house. So I had like a flat on my own from about 16, 17, 18, 19, probably where I got into so much trouble. But so I was in there about 6 months after my grandfather had died, and I still missed him. I had never missed a day. I always used to go up 6 months, never missed a day going up to visit my grandmother, who was obviously left behind, and Martin and Seamus lived there as well. So every day I was there, and I was working. So it was actually summertime. I was working, and I was a young fella. I was lifting heavy weights, and I was knackered. So I said I'd have a lie down before I went up to my grandfather's house. So whatever happened, I must have got into a really, really deep sleep. Remember, I hadn't missed a day in 6 months. In fact, it might have even been more. And I woke up, but I knew I was still asleep. Or I knew I was still like just paralyzed in the thing. And
your body was asleep.
Yeah, my body was asleep, but my mind was awake. And I could see a black figure standing over me. And all I could think of was, I have to get up to Grandad, and then it hit me that Grandad was dead. But I don't think the black figure, to this day, I still say that the black figure wasn't my grandfather, that it was my uncle that had died when I was 5 or 6 or 7.
So that is a very common thing to happen when you go into sleep paralysis, of seeing a figure at the end of the bed. I've had sleep paralysis a couple of times, and it obviously I think the way they describe it is that your body is asleep and your mind is active. So there's a disconnect there. So you're like, you can wake, your eyes are awake, but the rest of your body is still asleep. You can't actually move. And I suppose the shadow at the end of the bed is very common in that situation. Yeah. The only time that I've had super vivid dreams, like too lifelike, very real lifelike, was when I had a fever.
Right.
When I've been sick and I've had a fever and I've had a load of medication. In those situations, I've had very realistic dreams. Like,
yeah. But of course, you're delirious and prone to hallucinations as well.
I remember having a fever and I was delirious. I didn't know what I was going. Couldn't get comfortable and I was wandering around. The next thing, I was just standing in my brother's room. Everyone else had gone to bed. I was just staring at the moon. I must have been staring at the moon for fucking ages. So it was a bright full moon and I was so just transfixed on it. But I was off my fucking head on drugs, so
well, that might have had something to do with it as well.
That might have had something to do with it as well. Like,
likely nothing to do with sleep paralysis. That's just paralysis.
Yeah, that was self-inflicted paralysis. Few people
we'll do some of the comments. Leo Nolan, I've had a few fallen dreams, but they are scary. It's like you're asleep, but you can't wake yourself up. Yeah, well, definitely I frightened myself, because I just getting back to that, Leo. One of the other times I nearly died was when I fractured my skull. In Dublin and got the boat over to Manchester. So we were docking into Liverpool, but I was unconscious. I was concussed, but I didn't know that. I thought I was just drunk because I was drinking Smithwick's and vodka mixed. But I banged my head. Solid combination. I banged my head getting into the car, and I'm not gonna say who the driver was, but he was just as drunk as I was. But he drove. He drove onto the boat, and the reason we were so late going onto the boat is that the weather was bad, and the ship was delayed, or the ferry was delayed. So we went into town. We went into the Brazen Head and started just drinking all day. But anyway, we made the boat the second ferry. But when I woke up on the boat, like I had left the car at this stage. I was on the boat, so they must have dragged me onto the ship. I woke up and all I wanted to do was get sick because I was fucking concussed.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't realize that I fractured my skull and there was bleeding on my brain. But so I kept going. But I remember trying to get outside and get sick. And I remember like going out into this area where you could, like, it was outside of the boat, and I was walking along the railing. But I was heaving. I was like really getting sick. Everything that I ate and drank for 2 days was coming up. And I actually stepped up onto the railing, right, to get sick. And I remember it was a bad day. It was bad earlier on, and it hadn't really got much better, but the ship had gone at this stage. And actually it rocked. So when it rocked, it sort of pushed me forward, and only for I gripped the top of the railing, I was gone over, or at least I was falling down wherever the next thing is. That doesn't
surprise me at all, to be honest, now, knowing you.
Yeah, with bit.
That you'd fall over.
But the strange thing is, I relived that. When any fallen dreams I have is always making that step up onto the step and then falling, and I jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know I can't remember what that was in
about falling and jerking, waking yourself up.
All right. Okay. But I don't think being concussed.
I can tell, Chris, you were very interested.
I was trying to follow it, but I couldn't understand where the dreams came in. Like, but anyway, should we go back to the comments?
Yeah, go on.
Crosby 1982 had sleep paralysis, and J. Dallas reckons that the night terrors are dreadful. They are, in fairness, they're just a weird phenomenon. I don't think anyone gets away with that without it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's not enough, do you know what? I've heard all keep me up now. Not enough people have subscribed or liked this this video. So
that's all right.
I know that'll keep me up.
Will it?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Crosby 1982. I don't know, he deleted messages there, but what paralysis? How would you find paralysis? Like, I've only had one instance of it, and it wasn't really that scary.
I think it's one of those things. I think it's a varying degree of, like, everyone could have it differently, I suppose. When I had it, I don't think I had it I wasn't too scared about it. But I've heard people fucking being terrified by someone standing at the end of their bed while they're going through sleep paralysis.
Oh,
I would just assume that was you or something.
I was just about to say it's probably happened so many times.
I've woken up and you've been absolutely belugas standing around the room trying to figure out what's going on, you know?
Where I am. Where I am. Was it you that I woke up once, that woke up and I was looking down at them because the charger that I wanted was right at their head?
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? Like, I want that.
I think I was just staring into your eyes. Well, I'll tell you this story, and this is years ago. And then we're going to tell the story about Stockholm, Chris. I started seeing this lady she was from Scotland. Now, I was only late 17, maybe 18, mid 18. She was in her 30s, but I think I told her I was 21 or 22, whatever. But she was a cracker, but not only was she a cracker, she was fucking crackers.
Of course. So it's a common trope.
But I met her a couple of times, but I can say this because I know for a fact she's not going to be watching this. So like I said, I had the flat, and we used to go out there at the odd time, and then she'd go off home.
Right.
But I don't know, there was something, alarm bells were ringing. It was always up to Swinford, it was always up to this area, and we never went near her town. And I remember then getting a text message from her, which obviously wasn't meant for me. Because it was like, no, I'm not seeing anyone else. So I was like, right. At this stage, then I was like, I was sort of losing interest at this stage anyway, but I was like, and I just put a question mark, whatever. She said, oh no, she said, that was my friend texting their husband.
Right.
I was like, right.
Can I just borrow your phone for a second? I gotta text my husband.
Yeah. Very important.
I swear to God, I'm not seeing anyone else. I'm not borrowing his phone or anything.
It was a long message. It was a long message.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, you wouldn't put it on someone else's phone. But the problem was, I was just after buying this fucking mad expensive leather jacket. It was like €400 or pound. I don't know which it was at the time. It would have been pound.
Yeah.
It would. Yeah. But anyway, it was crazy expensive. I got it in Labs in Swinford, so that should tell you how expensive it was.
Oh, wow. you had fucking Dolce and Gabbana in there.
I did. So anyway, on the second night or third night that I met this lady, I had given her my jacket because it was cold, and of course, being the gentleman, I gave her the jacket. So she went off home with my jacket, with the intention, obviously, I'd meet her again and get the jacket off her. Obviously. So the next night we met up, she had no jacket with her. So I was, after me saying, like, you might bring the jacket with you. So that was grand. So then the second night after this, I said to her, I said, make sure you bring the jacket because I've no other good jacket like that. And I was fucked if I was going to spend that much money on another jacket. So she lands up anyway, and she brings this really, 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 like, not my jacket. It's a leather jacket, all right, but it's old and it's more leatherette than real leather. And I was like, what the fuck? I said, no, I said, that's not my jacket. She said, I'll bring it the next time. And at this stage now, I was thinking, like, I'm hoping that there wouldn't be a next time. So I said, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, whatever. So I give her back the jacket. We went out. So that was grand. We next thing we went out the third night after the jacket incident. She came up, no jacket. So I was sort of getting pissed off at this. And then I was about to just like live at the loss of the jacket.
Yeah.
So I went out the next weekend and I didn't bother contacting her at all. I was like, that's it, the jacket's gone, forget about it. And so I went to the flat. I went to Kelshima actually this night. Did I tell you this story before?
I've heard this story.
I went to Kelshima, got absolutely fucking annihilated. I think I was shifting some other girl up in Kelshima. And whatever happened in Kelshima, I got into trouble and the guards dropped me home. So the guards dropped me home anyway, and they let me off at the house. I obviously didn't do anything much wrong because they just dropped me home.
Yeah.
And I went into the flat and that was grand. Obviously, I didn't lock the door. The house is actually in 39 years of it being built. They lost the keys the first week and has never been locked since.
Well, that's so.
I got in. That is true, and
I can definitely attest to that because I wandered in there myself when I've been drunk.
and the same with the flat door. I should have it. I got into. I leave the key in the car in Dublin. It's just fucking. I just have no like when it comes to security. But anyway,
it's actually worry. It's sometimes the fact that you leave the key in the ignition in Dublin for 2 or 3 days at a time. And no worry that some fucking young lad is going to say, oh my God, the car is open and the keys are in it. I gotta take it. It's being given to me from God above.
not only in the car, Chris. I have left the for some strange reason, I left the keys once. I was outside Owen Colligan's gaff in Harold's Cross. I left the keys in the door. So whatever, I must have went to lock it and actually just left the key in the door. And it was there for 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I went to get it on Monday morning. The keys were still in the car door. and I wouldn't mind, but the car was the first car. It was in a car park. It was in a car park, all right. But it was the first car that you could see when you were walking by on the footpath. And the driver's door facing the road. And no one ever went near it. Anyway, so finishing off the leather jacket story. So, I get home, dropped home by the guards. I'm comatose on the bed, lights out, on my own, lucky enough. Went to sleep. So woke up the next morning with my leather jacket, like laid out on me like a blanket. And a big A4 page about just like, I think there was both sides of it filled out like a poem, and how nice it was to lie there for the few hours watching me sleep. So that was it. The phone call had to be made that day. Hold the pin job.
Yeah, I think but the problem with pulling the pin with the bird like that, she knows that she could just wander into the house and no one's going to stop you.
I often wondered, did she ever do it after that? But thankfully, I don't think she did.
Yeah, I remember wandering into your house. I was probably last year, and I was fucking belugas. I was in town, and I don't know where you were. You were on the way home from town. I walked in, and your mother goes, well, where's Stephen? I was like, is he not home yet? No. And I just walked past her and went straight down to the bed.
Oh yeah, oh yes. Do you remember the night we went out? Do you remember the night we went out to Mellett's and we were drinking hot whiskies and
Yeah.
and I came home and I threw my fucking boot into the fire. A brand new Ben Sherman leather boot.
Just one of them.
When we woke up in the morning, just the ashes, a print of ashes of a boot was just in the fire. And one boot left beside the fire.
Yeah, that was. I think that was the same night.
That was the same night.
Yeah, but I met you.
It was a beautiful night. Whatever the fuck happened.
We went live earlier on in the day, and we were watching the horse racing or something like that. And then we were like, "So we had to rake of cans on the live stream," and then we landed in Mellett's. Yeah, and then we started on the hot whiskey.
It was one of the first days that you could go back to the pubs. The restrictions were lifted.
Yeah, or they were going. I thought they were going to be. It was one of the last nights of the restrictions, and we just went full bore.
It was a great night, but then for some reason we walked home separately.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah, I don't know how that. I was walking home and some lad gave me a lift.
I don't know how that happened. I walked the rest of the way, and then when I got home, I just took off one of my boots and fucked it into the fucking fire. I don't know why. Like they were like €200 boots.
Yeah.
Anyway, is Chris still there? Just wondering, just to listen to this story. I can't. The chats has gone off my thing again. I don't know why it does that.
I don't think anyone's put. Is the chat still going there? I'm actually not sure.
Anyway, I'll tell the story. Sure, it'll be saved. It'll be saved for again.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a pity we can't actually get Chris on this. But anyway, Chris had been on to me and Martin, and you can see some of the results on Chris's YouTube page. What is it? Perez Productions.
Pez Power Productions.
Pez Power Productions. So anyway, some life, lads. Yeah, well, it was some life, all right. Well, Chris is there. So Chris had been on to me and Martin about filming something, a movie or a series or something, and he wanted initially to do it in America. That would have been brilliant, but the COVID kicked in. Then he wanted to do it in Ireland. Obviously, the COVID was still there, but the restrictions weren't as bad in Stockholm. So it went on for a long time, and eventually, things just conspired that I was free for a week. Or 10 days actually, or not. I wasn't free, but I made myself free for it. And of course, I wanted to see Martin. I hadn't seen Martin Maloney in so long, so it was a perfect excuse. But Chris was the one that organised the flights. I'm going to go full hog here, Chris. And before I go any further, Chris is an absolute gentleman and it's hard to pony.
This is not going to cover you in glory, Chris. I'm not going to lie. This is some pretty poor planning.
So anyway, the flights were booked. Chris had them booked, and it was Sam's wedding day.
You didn't check the flights at all, did you?
No. Well, I mean, I got the reference number, so I thought that's grand. It's booked, and I got the thing to say that it was paid for. Yeah. But it was Sam's wedding the day before, and I do remember texting Chris, like, I haven't got a booking reference, and Chris's answer, no, just give them this flight reference and you're good to go. This is how we do it in the States. So I thought, that's grand. I went to Sam's wedding, and I finished up early enough because I had to drive up to Dublin at about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I planned at about 11:30 or whatever. So I drove up to Dublin with my bag and whatever, and I think I texted on the way up. I said, "Are you sure about this booking reference?" But I still got nothing, because at that stage it would have been very late in Boston, where Chris was in America, or as very early in the morning. So I went up and I was the first one there, and I was proud of myself because I was at the wedding the day before. And I went down, and it was with SAS.
SAS, yeah.
Yeah. So I went down, and they have their own gate, or not gate, but like booking in area. You have to go downstairs in Dublin Airport. So I went down anyway, and not a sinner, but the gate, the terminal was, or the checking in area was open. So I thought, great, I can check in,
You
and
can
then I
check
can
in your baggage.
Yeah, you can check in your baggage and book into the flight. And for some reason, as I was going down the stairs and I seen the lad that was there and going to be checking me in, I just said in my head, I was like, this isn't going to work. Plus, as well, I was already anxious because my passport was out, like it was running out of date. It was only 2 weeks left on it, and some countries won't allow you in unless you have 3 months or 6 months of a passport left. But anyway, that wasn't the problem. Went up to the check-in flight. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and then he looked back at me, and I was like, he said, "You're not on this flight." I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I said, "Here's the reference number." So he typed in the reference number. He said, "Yeah," he said, "that reference number is on this flight, but the name under it is Christopher Perez." I was like, "What?" Yeah, he said, and then he swung the screen around and he said, "Yeah," he said, "you're not booked on this flight." He said, the man even used his own passport number. And I was like, "What?" So me thinking I was early, me thinking I was early for this. So I thought, listen, we'll sort it out. I said, "What do I have to do to sort it out?" Well, he said, "The only person that can sort it out is Christopher Perez." I saw, grand, I'll ring him. Ringing and ringing, rang Chris 12, 13, 14 times. Rang Martin Maloney. Martin answered, in fairness. Now, he's an hour ahead of me, so it would have been, he was still early enough over there. It would have been 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and that's early for Martin. He said, I'll try.
Maybe it was late. I'd say he was rolling over from the night before, you know.
What's that?
He might have been rolling over from the night before.
Okay. So no, he said no last names. Okay, so we'll leave any more last names. Sorry, Chris. But anyway, we're there, and I was like, "Answer the phone, Chris, answer the phone," and no answer. Of course, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning over in Boston.
Chris, were you out on the lash or what's the crack? Tell us in the chat there, mate.
Oh, he said he hadn't even gone to sleep yet, which I would believe. So I ring everyone that I can, and at this stage I'm so pissed off because I'm tired. I only had like 3 hours sleep and left the wedding early, and I was about to pack it in. I was like, "Forget it, I'm going back down." And then of course Rodney, who is in Stockholm as well, he texted me, and he was up. He said, what time are you going to be in at?" And I told him the crack. And he was like, "Listen, man." I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm going to bail." I said, "Forget about it. It's too much hassle." He said, "Man," he said, "I changed my flight so to Italy till next week, just because I knew you were coming over." He said, "You have to come over." He said, "I'll buy you a new flight ticket." I said, "Jesus, Rodney," I said, that's so nice of you, but I said, I can't. I wouldn't expect that of you. I said, "We'll sort this out one way or another." I said, "Chris is bound to answer the phone." No. So then I went down and I asked the people at the checkout or the check-in. I said, "Is there anything we can do?" And they said no. And she said, "Even if you did get through to Chris now, it's too late. It's too late." So I said, "Fuck it." So at that stage, then I went up and sort of waited until I heard back from Chris. I was in the airport, and eventually he got through to me, and he was like amazed that this didn't work. But I was like, "Chris, my name isn't on the flight ticket." I said, "If that was the case, I could go to any airport or any plane and get on a plane and just say someone else booked it." I said, "But anyway," and then it was like, what are we going to do? So he eventually and I actually made a lovely TikTok video because I went outside and I watched.
You did.
I watched the plane sort of drift off. So I waited until my plane was flying away. And let's just say I was less than happy at that moment
You weren't
in time.
impressed at all.
No, but eventually we got the flight. Eventually we got the flight sorted out, and I was going out the next night or the next day. At this stage, Chris would have been in Stockholm, waiting for me, and Martin Maloney and Sam, who's another absolute gentleman, a diamond, really nice guy, no more than Chris. So I get into, what's the name of the airport in Stockholm? Begins with a name.
Yeah, it's Arlanda.
Arlanda. Yeah, that's right. How could I forget it? It sounds like Arlanda. So I get into Stockholm and I get a taxi in, and that's what sort of pissed me off as well, because I knew by the time I got in, because I've been in Stockholm before, and the buses and the train stop at a certain time, so you have to get this taxi into the city, and what should have been €12 cost €80. But anyway, we live at the loss of that, and I land into outside the bar. Vistrom's, yeah. So I land outside Vistrom's, and it is wedged.
Where I was there. You'd swear I was there as well.
Oh yeah, well, you were there. You were there the first time I went out to Stockholm.
In spirit.
So I landed out. I landed out of the taxi. Landed out of the taxi, and I could hear Martin and I could hear Chris before I could see them, even though the place was wedged, and the crack was mighty. I was trying to break in, so eventually I got in as far as Rodney, and it was too packed and too wild to have a drink there. So Rodney said, "Listen, we'll go down to a different bar, a bigger bar, with probably just as many people, but it'd be a bit more spacious." So we were heading off.
The Liffey or the Old Dubliner?
Initially, it was actually Temple Bar.
Oh, the Temple Bar, yeah.
Yeah. But then there was a queue for that, and apparently the Temple Bar is a bit like for up. But we waited for a while, but then we were like, I'm not going to wait any longer. So then we went to the Dubliner, which is a bit away. But at this stage we'd lost Martin and Chris. They were coming behind us, but we lost them. Well, we eventually get to the Dubliner anyway, me and Rodney, and then this English dude, actually, a big guy, about fucking 6'7", 6'8", and this Donegal lad, and we were all having a pint, and next thing Rodney gets a phone call to say that Chris and Martin got into an altercation on the street, and that was it. It was mayhem. That set the scene then for the next 9 to 10 days. It was just mental. So the rest I leave, Chris, to people's imagination. I don't want to completely deviate.
Well, after this altercation, it didn't lend to a great productivity for the first couple of days of filming.
For the first 4 days, Martin is highly strung at the best of times, and that's what makes him so brilliant. So anything can push Martin sort of over the edge. And this definitely pushed him over the edge. He was paranoid about going into the town, and that's where, of course, where we needed to be filming. He didn't want to be in the town, and it took 4 days for him to actually get his head straight before we could film. And remember, we're only there 10 days, so that's 4 days out of 10 gone. So yeah, there was only 6 days left to try and to reel something in. And of course, for the 4 days, we were all drinking. We were all having great crack, but there was very little filming being done. So we got something out of it in the end. But the great thing is we learned a lesson. We learned so many lessons in that trip. I hope Chris would agree. Yeah, hit subscribe if you like mental 4-day sessions. I hope, Chris, you agree that we learned an awful lot from that, and we learned from our mistakes.
Yeah.
If you're not winning, learning.
In fairness, you'd think you'd learn a lot from Sweden. I don't think you learned fuck all, to be honest. Because the last time you were in Sweden before that, I had booked an Airbnb, and you weren't in the place 5 minutes, and you were wearing your man's clothes.
That's clothes the last. He had lovely boots.
He had a lovely pair of boots. Like, it's unbelievable when I was like, we went to the System Vlaga, which is the off license, state-owned off license in Sweden. So myself, yourself, and Martin went to System Vlaga, got a rake of drink, walked into the gaff. The gaff was class, wasn't it? Unbelievable little apartment, 1 bedroom. And I turn around and Cowboy's putting on the fella's shoes. The fella that owns the place.
On the way over to Stockholm, I clipped on not in Dublin Airport, but in Schiphol Airport, because you sometimes you stop over in Schiphol to get to Stockholm. I clipped like a pole that was sticking out of the ground, and it was like, for barriers. I just clipped it with my shoe, the top toe of my shoe, and the fucking sole came off. It was so for like walking through Schiphol Airport, and my shoe is just going
like a smelly old vag.
Same when I get to Orlando. I look like a homeless guy.
You did, yeah. Stuff. Fucking. We had a great
couple of days. When I got in, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So the best thing to do was to just, when I seen the pair of boots, I was like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
You go to me, are these yours? I said, no, they're the fella that owns the apartment. I'm just renting the apartment for a couple of days. And you're like, what sound? I turn around, they were on your feet.
They were like military brown boots. We looked them up. Even Martin was impressed with them.
Oh, they're proper expensive. I'd say your man was a cameraman or something. He had nice gear.
Yeah, he did. Fair
play to him. I have to go and rent that place again.
I know, that was a brilliant place. You were there for a long time that time.
I was there almost 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. How many long was I there? Enough to do damage.
You were there probably 3 or 4 days, 3 days, I think, or 4 days.
It was 4 days, but 3 nights, if that makes sense.
It was a gnarly couple of days.
4 nights and 3 days, yeah. Yeah, well, it was great crack though, because the restrictions were in Ireland at the time, weren't they?
Yeah. And then obviously you met Brenda Fricker, which was a massive bonus. Great. It's very great to meet celebrities outside their own comfort zone.
Yeah. I don't think I was going out with anyone at the time. I definitely wasn't going out with anyone the first time I was in Stockholm. So we can probably tell that story, but we won't. No. We won't. It got a little bit messy.
But yeah, Shannon says, hi, keep missing the live notifications. What did I miss? Well, there's been a lot.
You missed Shannon about dreams about falling. You missed. Oh, I haven't even told you the story about what happened at work on Saturday. Well, I'll finish the.
I wanted to give you an observation. That I think you'd appreciate. Like, obviously, the Ukrainian war and the situation is terrible.
Yeah.
Tinder has improved immeasurably.
The which?
Tinder improved significantly.
Oh, has it?
Oh, it's improved significantly.
Wow.
It's been interesting now.
Right. Okay. That's why there was no live done over the weekend.
Hey, listen, man's got a chat shite to Ukrainian brands.
Make hay while sun shines.
Yeah, this is it. So thank you, Mr. Putin.
Yes. Just letting Shannon know about what she missed in this live. We were talking about dreams, about a couple of dreams I had about this really weird experience I had with dating this girl back in the day, like when I was 18, and she was a bit older than me, but it was crackers. That was interesting. Then we were telling the story about Stockholm and Chris Perez, who was on watching us. And I can't state enough that Chris is an absolute gentleman. But it was the complete.
You've got a bit to learn on the organization front, Christine.
He learned. So he definitely learned, and I think he's coming. Chris is coming over in the summertime as well to Ireland, so we're really looking forward to that as well. We'll definitely do a few lives on the YouTube, Chris, when you're over here.
Oh, on the YouTube, yeah, on the YouTube.
Yeah. What else did we talk about so far? I think that was this. I think the Stockholm story went on for ages.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then when me and you were out there, so that was basically Shannon.
I think
you actually heard. Shannon would have heard. Shannon's a patron, so she would have heard the Stockholm story before anyway.
Yeah. The story I want to hear from you is the story you told me at the weekend, because that was fucking fun.
We'll finish the live up on this story. We didn't actually talk about anything that happened in the world during the week, but we might do another one during the week. We get Pete on. So that was, what day was that, Chris? So it was the national.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, Stephen does some work in the hospital in Mayo. A significant amount of work in the hospital in Mayo.
Yes. And you know what? It pays very well, but the only problem is I'm on call. It's a bit of a bastard, but it pays so well that you can't turn it down. Now, if I really needed to be somewhere, but my attitude is, if you can squeeze it in at all, get it done. But I have Ollie as well that'll cover me. But that's only in the last few months. Up till then, I was trying to squeeze it in around live shows and everything. It was a complete nightmare. But
I got a couple of touches out of it.
That's right. Chris did as well, and so did Pete.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got called over, and it was only meant to be one room. This happens a lot as well, so it sort of pisses me off. You get called over to do one room, and it's not rocket science, and it's not very hard. The only thing is, it can be to get there and to get back, and the only downfall is it's on call. So I go over Saturday, and it's aired. It's about 2:00, and I want to get back for the Grand National that's on at 5. So then, by the time on the trip over, by the time I leave Swinford and get over to Castlebar, it had gone to 4 rooms. And I just thought, get in there, get them done, bang, 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 go back, open room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, and you'll be good to go. So I land over there, and there's only 2 rooms ready, and that's getting on my, like, I'm really getting frustrated here. So I go to room 1 anyway, and I get it ready to get it done. It doesn't take long, but it's just to get it done. So I went in anyway, and for some reason I got an urge to go for number 2. Now, let me just say that these rooms, before I even go into these rooms, these are cleaned. You could eat your dinner off the floor. These are cleaned within an inch of their lives before I even go into fumigate. So they get a deep clean, and then I go in to finish the job. And
you'd think it would be the other way around, really.
You wouldn't, you just. But anyway, that's
the room.
That's the way the HMP wanted, and I'm not getting paid to think for them. So I land in. Shannon said, "Sorry, I asked." So I land into the room, and I get the urge to go to the toilet, and I was like, it was no big urge, but I thought to myself, I have 4 rooms to do. I'm in a rush. Let's just get rid of it, and then we'll go about our business.
You just want to, you'll move faster if it's out of the way.
Well, no, usually I let it build up a bit, but I just, for some reason, I was like, just drop it here in the ensuite and flush it down the toilet, and away you go. So I was there, done my business. Like I said, I wasn't a mad urge, but for some reason, I was proud of what I'd left behind. It was a good size.
That was something that didn't really need to be told.
I'll actually have a drink of beer for the rest of this.
Oh, this live podcast is brought to you by the Wankers at $3 left.
$3 left. Coming to a pub near you. So anyway, I done my business. Like I said, I was proud of it. So I wiped up, zipped up the jeans, turned around to flush the toilet, and no flush. Like nothing.
The toilet was completely broken.
A spit.
And you've got a fucking prize-winning log in the toilet.
A prize winner there on display, and tissue on top of it as well.
And like literally, if you walked out of there, you'd be expecting a blue ribbon.
But the thing is, I was like, fuck it. I said, maybe before I came in, someone flushed the toilet. So I lifted the cistern, and no, it seems like half full. I flushed it so many times it had got rid of some water. So maybe I thought to myself that it was only filling up. So I was like, fuck it. So I pulled the lever itself manually inside to let the water out. Nothing. It spits out a little bit more, but nothing major. So I said, fuck it. So I was like, I put the cistern back. I said, I sort it out when I get all the rooms done, because I seal up the doors and no one can go into them for 4 or 5 hours anyway. Only me. I go in and I open the windows. So I said, when I'm opening the windows, I'll sort it out. So I went around and I done the 4 rooms. Eventually they got ready. And at this stage then, I had a couple of bits to pick up. I got a new phone, so I wanted a cover for it and a screensaver. And I got that, and then I got myself a sandwich, and then I went back up to the room. So the first room, the room that I started off with, I walked in, and I completely forgot about what had happened. And then I remembered when I opened the ensuite door, I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? So at this stage now, I used up a lot of time, and I wanted to get back for the Grand National. And I thought, what can I do? What can I use? The only thing that would hold water in the whole room was a bin bag that someone had left behind.
So now, can I stop you at this stage, right? Because when you told this story the last day, it took me a second to realize that you weren't going with the bin bag to fish it out.
No,
you were filling it with water.
Yeah, I knew, but if I had a bucket, I thought that, them small bins, I thought if I could get water into the bin from the tap in the ensuite, that it'd fill up and I'd use it like a bucket and it'd just flush down. But the fucking bin, the bins aren't sealed at the bottom. It's just literally like you can see daylight through them. I was like, that won't work. But the actual bag that was in it, which should be actually out of it before I go in. But anyway, it was there. I fill it up with water. I sort of put it up to the tap, turn on the tap, and sort of tie it around the tap. It fills up lovely. The only thing is I have to hold it because it's over. At this stage, it's overflowing the sink. I want to get as much into it as possible because I'm going to lose some of it anyway.
Would it have stretched from the sink to the cistern?
No, I wouldn't have stretched that far. But I was a hold of it with one hand, sort of taking the weight off it, and sort of holding on to so that it stayed around the tap with the other hand. So eventually I got it full of, I'd say there was a good bucket and a half in it, but I know I'm going to lose some of it anyway when I take the sort of let it out of the tap. But in fairness, I didn't lose too much of it. But I have this big bin bag full of water. So I got it crunched up at the top, carried it over to the toilet, and then I burst the bottom of the bag so the water was.
This is a very risky move because instead of pouring it into the cistern, you burst the bag. What if the water went everywhere? You had fuck all water in there.
Well, I had so much water in it, Chris. Some of it had to go down the toilet. Right. So that happens, and in fairness, I was precise. It literally just went right down the toilet, like gushed down.
So it was right over the cistern.
No, not the cistern. Straight into the bowl.
Oh, right.
Because putting it into the cistern would have been a waste of time because it wouldn't have came out.
But what if you put in the cistern, you flushed it?
No good, because it was the flusher wasn't working. You could have put as much. You could have filled the top overflowing, and it wouldn't have made any difference. Right. I actually put it into the actual toilet bowl. So down it goes.
That's fucking risky behavior, man.
It fucking took the log straight down like a fucking bobsleigh. Tissue, the log. But the problem was I put so much water in one go. It sort of fucking, after the log had gone, the fucking water just fucking came right back up again, all over the fucking toilet.
No shit.
All over the fucking, but the only saving grace was that it was like a shower floor and everything flowed into the corner where there was a gully.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm sure it wouldn't have been the most hygienic of rooms at that particular or that ensuite at the time. But it looked
sprayed again after, did you?
It looked clean. Did I? Fuck! I need to get back to the Grand National.
You had to run back to lose money on the Grand National. That was the important part.
Yeah. And then of course we picked the fucking. Well, none of us had picked any horses.
No, in fairness, to be honest, I wasn't. It was the first year in a long, long time I didn't get a chance to really embed myself. To be honest, I probably would have put some money on that horse with it being Sam Whaley-Cohen's.
That's right. So look, if we had time and listened to the story, it was a fairy tale. Of course we would have done.
And the name of the horse as well, and it have an Irish connection. There's a lot in it that would make, I remember
it had everything, Chris. It had Emmett Mullins' first runner in the Grand National as a trainer, young fella.
Yeah.
Irish. They bought it especially for that race.
For that race. That's it. There's a lot in there. There's stuff like that. And the other side of it is that when I remember when I backed Neptune Collonge for at 33-1, I had 20 quid on the nose because it was the 50th race that Paul Nicholls had, or 50th runner in the big race that Paul Nicholls had. And it was also the 50th, it was 50 years since a grey had won the Grand National. Right. He won by a nose. So there was so much symmetry in it.
Yeah.
When there's a lot, I was like, so I put 20 quid on Neptune Collonge and I made 660 euro,
Yeah, that was lovely.
And my 20 quid back. So I was like, I barely had 20 quid.
Yes, you were saying that. I couldn't have came at a better time that time.
Oh, I was missing rent. I'd been out in the beer the night before and I'd gone too far. So I was missing rent. So
it wasn't the first time and it won't be the last.
Hopefully you won't be missing rent anymore, but there's no guarantees. I'm a wild cunt.
Exactly. But yeah, so look, it was Sam Whaley-Cohen's last race, and he told everyone all his riding life, that if he ever won the Grand National, he'd retire there and then. And it just happened to be his last race, and that was the first time. I thought it was his second time winning it. It was his first time.
He won the Gold Cup. Yeah, he won the Gold Cup on long run.
And again, Sam Whaley-Cohen has been around for years and has been banging out winners left, right, and centre. He was still only an amateur. I didn't realize that. I presumed he was a professional.
Well, he was from big money, you see.
Sir, look, his ancestors were barons and lords.
Fucking serious money.
Another thing, and he has 250 dental outlets across the UK.
Yeah. He sold most of that company, didn't he?
Did he?
I think he made hundreds of millions in that.
I bet he did. So. He looks and he carries himself well. In fairness, look, I don't begrudge it to him. It was an Irish Anglo sort of win. It was an Irish trainer, an Irish horse, an English owner, and an English jockey. It was really, but technically, it'll go down in the rule books as an Irish winner. Just saying. Yeah.
That's so. Anyway, at least you got rid of that shit. Is there anyone else in the comments still there? I know that when these longer stories start happening, the comments to go very quiet. So So
we'll wrap it up Chris now. Anyway,
Cowboy's also part-time plumber. Don't forget those hands built America. So Cowboy publicly admitted to flooding the toilet and running, but my bad planning was bad. Yeah, in fairness, Cowboy, I'm going to say they both equally worked out. I'm glad the filming worked out more.
I got no repercussions off it anyway, so that's the main thing.
That's all that matters. Guys, if you're still there, please give the video a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And
indeed, we'll do another one during the week, and this time we'll actually get to talk about what's going on in the world
in a couple of weeks' time. Might as well.
I must get on. We must start getting back doing. We've a couple of links made with people to do podcasts, so we must get on that again tomorrow.
We'll be doing that from there. But like, one thing for any of the guys in the West, we will be doing a live podcast in a couple of weeks' time. That the details are going to be finalized and announced very soon. So if you are up for that, let us know. Send us a message on this live chat, or send us a message on the Instagram page, and I'll either myself or Stephen pick it up.
Yeah, that is in. You might as well just that's going to be in Skeff in Galway on May the 12th.
So we're still finalizing guests and bits and pieces. So we're going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, and we will also be launching the beer officially on that night. Still working on the bits and pieces on the beer. So if you are interested in coming along for a laugh that night, let us know and we will send you all the details.
Yeah.
That's it. Guys, look, thanks a lot for watching.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching. For Chris for letting me tell the story about Stockholm, even though I stopped before it got really, 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 really juicy.
But yeah, things will be juicier on the pod. Obviously, to our patrons, we haven't been as active on the Patreon page.
But we have been working behind the scenes.
But there's some stuff in the pipeline, so we will get some stuff done over to you as soon as possible. Okay. Cheers, guys.